Hey, so today is Tuesday, and it has officially been a week since I was released from prison. Which, wow, it feels like a lifetime. So much has happened since then, and it makes me so happy to be able to be a part of that. And that feeling when I was first walking out, I was so worried, and I'm naturally kind of a worry wart, I guess. Get a lot of anxiety, social anxiety. Um, and I was just petrified getting out. I had no idea what the experience was going to be like. No one, I mean, there was some people in prison that I would ask, like, oh, hey, you've been back 5, 6, 7 times. Like, what's it like? And yeah, of course, they've got it down. And they'd explain it. But it still they didn't do it any justice. And I guess it just goes to show, like, that for everyone it's going to be different. The experience, you can't, I don't know, you can't anticipate it to be anything else other than just its own unique thing. And I'm going to do a terrible job of explaining it anyway, but I know that I was getting through, and as soon as I put on that first pair of clothes, like, that weren't, the orange suits that they have us wear, or the whites that we have to wear, it was just, it was surreal, and it wasn't until I saw my son's mom, because she was the one that was there to pick me up, and it was so strange, and she felt the same way. She looked at me and she was just like, you don't look the same. And of course not, like, I've man, that's a long time to spend away from somebody, and not having them see you at all. It's crazy. But they pack us through there like a bunch of cattle, just being herded off. And that first taste of freedom of just being outside and just getting into a vehicle with someone that you would miss so much, all these emotions and feelings start rushing back to you, like, what did I do? Like, why would I have put myself through this, or my family? And it's a lot, and seeing my son for the first time, just, oh, it was so much. It was so much, and it was so good and so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be out here, and and try to build life for myself. And it's not even about trying. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it done. um but yeah, I had a interesting experience, I guess. I never felt like I quite fit in with them, and it always made me think of something. This thing that always popped in my mind. It's, you hear in a lot of movies that they say, oh, it's an island of misfit toys. Well, I felt like I was on an island of misfit toys, but I still wasn't fitting in. I was like too broke for the broken, it felt like. And I know that a lot of people could probably relate to that sensation, that feeling, that how is this going to go? You're constantly on high alert. And I already haven't had very many positive relationships with males in my life, like any guys. I've mostly had female friends, and it's just because I've never forged that kind of relationship with a guy. My dad wasn't around. Um, and God bless their souls. Like, I mean, they were there for me when I was actually in there. So, I mean, and I'm not trying to say anything about that. It's just that I went in with that, looking at them like, don't talk to me. Like, I didn't want anything to do with anyone. And not only that, like, I have anxiety as it is anyway. And I'm actually naturally very introverted. So I close up, and sometimes I don't know what to say. And I feel, I don't know, I felt so alone. And I was for a little while, and lucky for me, I actually got to spend some of my time with my brother. which a lot of you guys probably know. Auto tune. Um, we started writing music together in there, and man, we had drifted apart, and we got to reconnect and be together and live together for a couple of years. So I was grateful for that, and I'll always be grateful for that. And that's been one of the hard things too through this whole thing is learning all over again how to do something so simple like taking public transportation. Like, who gets off on the wrong stop? Like I know Spanish Fork and Springville, and I know this area, but I was just so bewildered by all the changes. Everything changed, and everyone in prison kept saying, "Well, you're about to go back to the future." And yeah, like I said, I just there's nothing like it, and I never want to experience it again. Hell no. Oh man, I thought like I still get crazy at times. Like I'll just sit here and really try to take it all in, but I feel so inept. Like I just don't know how. Like how do I even take this in? I was in an environment where there's nothing to do. There's the prison system is so overrun that they ship off people into these different counties. And a lot of these county jails in Utah house a lot of state inmates. Those counties don't have a lot of just people that got arrested in their county anyway. It's a very small amount. So you have all these state inmates in these county jails, which is even more torture. Be had I spent most of my time at the actual prison in Draper, maybe it wouldn't have been as big of a culture shock. Maybe it still would have been. I don't know. But, in Draper, you're around stuff. There's traffic going on around you, there's more movement between sections, and it's just a bigger playground, really. And not that I want to call it a playground because it wasn't like a fucking playground. Like it was bad news, but the county jail that I was at was is so small, 400 inmates tops. So my entire world was a 300 feet radius, like the furthest point that I could see, because there's glass windows, and you can like look through and see other people, and like you're just like fish in a bubble. You're just sitting there staring at each other. People learn how to do sign language, like they'll do stuff to like be able to communicate, and they do that movement to indicate that that sentence is done. It's so crazy, and it's not American Sign Language by any means. Please, like, if you would see some of the people that end up in there, like, you would understand that, yeah, it doesn't get that far, but these guys are so clever at figuring out, like, how to make the most out of nothing. Like, I would be constantly amazed at all this shit that people would make, and and have nothing but respect for the ingenuity. So yeah, so they would talk to each other, and people would do all sorts of stuff. I mean, I can't get into too much detail about what they would communicate about, but sometimes it was something as like, hey, are you sending coffee over? Or hey, so and so needs a shirt, or hey, and because it's all political, the white boys run with the white boys, the Hispanics run all together. There's various gangs and stuff, and obviously I didn't fit into any of that, man. I went in there scrawny as hell. Like, realistically, I'm still not like put on that much size. I went in at 158 pounds, and there I was looking on at everyone like what the hell did I get myself into? Like, I might die here. A million things went through my mind. Someone's gonna try to rape me. Like, okay, that might sound like dramatic, okay, but it was a prison. You're doing time with guys that have life sentences, sometimes without parole. And I was surprised to find that there was a lot of guys in, yeah, there was a lot of guys in the county jails that weren't just up at the prison, because you'd think like, well, man, they're gonna have to do a lot of time, but it's like a worse punishment to go there, which is fine. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again, and I'll always say it for the rest of my life. I deserve to go for what I did. Like, it sucks. It sucks to say that that's what I did and that's what I'd become because of all the drugs and alcohol that I'd done. I mean, it's a shameful thing, because no one deserves that, and I wish that I could take it back. So because of that, because of all the craziness and that I was experiencing, I finally was like, I have to do something different with my life. I have to pick up the pieces of my life. Like, I had shattered everything. Relationships had been tarnished, obviously. Um, there was so much that went into it. And when I got to Salt Lake County Jail, I still used drugs for the first couple of months because I didn't know how to handle with it, any of what was going on. And I had pretty much accepted the fact that, okay, I'm going to prison. That's what's going to happen, and I just have to be okay with that. So, I went, and I I don't know, it's still so bizarre, and it's still bizarre to me right now, just the fact that I'm sitting in my room at my cousin's house, who was so gracious enough to let me come stay here because I couldn't go to my mom's. There's just they're very picky about where you can go, which is fine. Like, I'm in a great environment, and I feel so blessed that people even want me around. Like, it's hard not to feel like people are just gonna look at you like, God, dude, like, you really fucked your life up. Like, what were you thinking? I hate to say it. I don't blame them. And so I dedicated my time to doing nothing but bettering myself. Because there was a lot of people in there that have just completely given up. Those guys that have been in there for their 20th time, sorry, not 20 years. I didn't come across anyone that had done that long during my stay, but, or that have come in and out numerous times. They can't figure out how to stay clean. And so I took a mental note of that for myself. I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this with my life. I'm not going to just waste away in the prison system, because that's what it is. You can just waste away in there, and people get comfortable with what they're doing. So it was a lot. It was a lot going in, and it's a lot being out now, being away from all that, not being surrounded in an open dorm full of 24 guys, constant noise, people arguing, people joking, playing cards. I mean, it's loud and annoying in that regard, and whatnot. But man, you step out into this world, and oh man, I've felt so lost, and I know that it's weird that I turned to this, social media, but I kept up with that. We watched the news, and I got magazines, and I kept reading about all this stuff that was going on. And so for me, it was just like, I kept a journal. Like, I logged a daily entry as best as I could. It wasn't perfect, but I've got like 6 or 7 journals filled with nothing but, dear diary, today not in that. I don't know why I did that voice for my inner conscience or me. I don't know. Anyway, my point is that I would log all this stuff, and I just thought, well, maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll talk about a little bit about my experience. And for some people, they're not going to care. No one's going to, I can't imagine that anyone really gives a shit that, oh, dude, you went to prison or whatever. Like, it's probably kind of boring. And plus, you got shows like Orange is the New Black, and so I think everyone thinks that they know what it's like. But it is those things, because those, something like that's based on actual things that happen. But of course, Hollywood has to embellish them, or they don't really know the full details. And it's different. That's a women's prison. I don't know. And where I was at, there was just a lot more going on. And like I said, there's not much that I can like divulge about that, but that's gonna stay with me forever. And I've always said I'm never gonna go back. So I'm gonna keep doing this. Maybe no one's gonna watch it or whatever, but I just want whoever does see this, that if you ever experience this, if you screw up somehow in your life, if you're a drug addict, and you've basically made it so far in your life without getting into some serious trouble, they are right when they say that all that ends up happening is it's either death or institutions, and if you haven't died, I mean, I pray that that doesn't ever happen to anyone, but it's a reality that we all live with. That if you end up in a place like I did, that you strive to become a better person than when you went in, and that you make boundaries and practice that stuff. And I've been so overwhelmed, and I have a million things that I could say about it, but I don't want to drag on just one going on and on about whatever. But it's been overwhelming at times, and I start tearing up and flat out just crying, just because like I get so like I need to take a moment, take a step back, and just breathe. And I've had I had my dad tell me, just drink water, do this. I mean, a helicopter scared the hell out of me last night because I was at work outside working out, because I don't have a gym membership yet, and I could hear like a through my headphones. And I was like actually kind of scared because like obviously like I'm not really going outside at night, where I was at. And yeah, man, it gets me even thinking about it now. It's like, oh, just it's weird. But like I said, if you're going through that yourself, and you don't know where to turn to, I guess for me this is it. Just kind of bringing people into my life. Like I'm really just welcoming whoever cares to know or is even curious about what it's like. I just want you to push forward, and to just try to do a little bit better every single day. I started practicing with goal setting, stuff that I was never really good at before. And I read a lot of books that really opened my eyes and helped me, and to push me to be all that I could be. Like I said, I never want to experience that again in my life. I never want to be away from my family for that much amount of time because I couldn't stay clean. It is what it is. I'm not a victim in this situation. Like I said, I deserve to go, but this is what I have to do now to get my life back in order. And the beautiful thing is, in a way, like to me, I kind of romanticize it, is that I have absolutely nothing to lose by going after what I want to do most with my life, what I've always wanted to do. And so I've worked and worked and worked, and I'm going to keep working, and I'm never going to stop because I have shown to myself, I've proven to myself now that when I commit to something, that when I put something in my mind, that I will see it through. And that's just the kind of person that I want to be with or that's the kind of person I want to be the rest of my life. Like I said, there's a million things that I could talk about. And in the future, I'm just going to do a weekly entry. I'm sure if anyone that is just barely seeing these for the first time, you saw because I put it on Facebook or on Instagram. But thank you, for caring at all. Some of the people in my life that I thought would always be there, they weren't. And you lose a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, my mom always did tell me that the only thing that will always be constant is your family. And, when you're a 19-year-old kid, you don't register that until you're actually put in this situation. So I'm just grateful to her. And I love her very much, and my entire family, that they've really pulled through for me now. And there are some friends that did write me, even the ones that only wrote me one time. It made a big difference. Even if you're not one of those and you didn't, I don't hold it against you. You're kind of a loser when you go to prison, like that. I mean, that's what it feels like. And I don't want to say that. It seems kind of callous to say it like that, but that is what it is, and most people that go in there, that's just it. So like I said, this first video, I figured it was probably gonna be a little bit longer. In the future, I'm gonna categorize it more and be more focused in what I'm gonna be talking about. And like I said, I guess this is maybe for just for me to look back on and be like, if I'm going through a hard time, to look at it and be like, okay, remember who you are and what you've been doing, what you've been talking about. This is it, and it'll push me to just keep focused and keep doing it. So like I said, don't ever give up on yourself. You might make a big mistake in your life. You might feel completely alone, alienated, all that stuff. Use it to propel you to do great things. I just saw on somebody's page that the people with the worst past go on to do the greatest things, and I don't know that that's necessarily always true, but I guess I want to impress myself, and I guess prove to me that yeah, I could be a lot more than what I ever was, and I don't ever have to be that person again. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. Obviously, I'm gonna keep uploading music. I've got a lot of music to show you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you don't, either way, it's there, and I'm always gonna have it for the rest of my life. And nothing makes me happier than to see the fruits of my labor just somewhere kind of permanent. So, you guys, thanks again for tuning in.